Hey everybody, it's Andy. Welcome back to my show where I help you build a career you love. Today we are going to talk about the anatomy of a perfect job search networking message. I love this topic. I love networking. Specifically today we're going to talk about 7 shows and tells you need to get into your messages to elicit responses from people. And I'm also going to show you the list of the 10 I think you need to have in your arsenal if you are a job seeker. So welcome everyone. I think networking is a vital component for life, but it's especially important when you're job searching. And so I want to give you a more thoughtful approach that you can use and really understand kind of the concepts, the psychology, the triggers behind this, and what will really help you not only in your job search but in life. And so I want to give you that more thoughtful approach. I've talked a lot about networking. I've talked a lot about job search networking. There's a bunch of mechanics that you can find out on my YouTube channel if you just go into the search bar and search for networking. But today what I thought would be a good idea to do as a primary lesson is you gotta be able to get to first base before you can round the bases, and if you can't even get to first base, you're not going to be able to score. So it's vital that you understand what those messages need to look like to initiate the contact, to open up the conversation, whether it's with somebody that you know, maybe it's a lukewarm relationship, maybe it's a warm relationship, but maybe it's a cold relationship. So we're gonna talk about a lot of that today. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Now, before we get into kind of the specific 7 shows and tells that I want you to include in these messages, there's a couple of things I want to mention. Now, lots of times you are going to be doing this online, and you are, this is going to be to people you don't know, people that you might know. These might be cover letter styles. You might be targeting bosses, a la my boss hunting technique. If you don't know what that is, check that out. But it could be to a variety of people. We're going to talk about the triggers you need to have in each of the messages, no matter who you're sending this to or about what, meaning whether you're opening up a networking relationship, you're asking for a job, or whatever it might be. So I want you to hang on to that. And the other thing is, I want you to be you. You need to put your personality into your messaging. I don't want you to be me. I want you to be you. But I also want you to keep in mind that you have to adjust your tone in each of the messages based on the strength or the warmth or the coolness of the relationship of the person that you're trying to contact. If it's somebody that you know pretty well, you can be a lot more casual. If somebody that you kind of know, you could be a little more friendly. If it's somebody you don't know, you might want to be more professional. I don't really care what you got to do. You can be flirty, you can be funny, you could be whatever. I want you to be you, but I want you to be smart about the language you use as you communicate. Now, the genesis of where I think a lot of the detail came from around what I do related to this topic is, I was coaching individuals just to kind of through my one-on-one coaching, and then in the early onset of the job search boot camp, which I originally launched in 2017, and I know a lot of you guys know I have a promotion going on right now. I would talk to people about, okay, well, it's smart to network, and here's kind of what you need to do, and you want to make sure you contact these kind of people. And some of my one-on-one coaching clients would come back and they would say, well, my friends are not getting back to me. Old colleagues I used to work with, people I love won't get back to me. I'm trying to target people that I don't know. They're not responding. And then some of the early boot campers would send me messages in the comments and ask me questions and say, well, I'm really not getting the responses. So finally I said, well, you gotta show me what you're sending. And what I noticed about what they were sending was they weren't putting in the right content, and they weren't hitting the right triggers to actually elicit the prescribed response that they wanted. So I started to get more structured around what I would do, what I would say, and then I reverse engineered it to the components that I think you need to know. That's what I'm going to share with you today. So, the anatomy of a perfect job search networking message, meaning you are writing an email or LinkedIn in-mail or whatever it is with the intent of ultimately getting a job. These are the 7 show and tells that I would include. My 7 show and tells. Okay? So, number 1. Now, you know me. You know I always love to start out with something easy, although I see a lot of people screwing this one up. You gotta include who you are. You got to include who you are. Sometimes I'm floored when people don't, that isn't the first thing out of their mouth, or I should say off their fingertips, who you are. And who you are is made up of what? Well, generally 3 things, right? You got your name. Hi, my name's Andy. You got your descriptor. I'm a career coach, right? You might have a relationship, right? I'm so-and-so's business partner. I'm so-and-so's friend. Hey, Lulu, I'm Lulu's nephew. I'm Ricky's 4th cousin on his mother's side. I don't really care what it is, but you got some kind of connection that you want to make. I used to work at such and such. Anything that ties you to them or provides reference for them as to who you are. So that should be in there for sure, and it should be first. So you got to start with your name, your descriptor, and that kind of good stuff. Where do we go from there? Okay, number 2. Why'd you choose them? Why did you choose them? This to me is so important, especially in a cold nature. It warms them up. It shows them that you are tailoring this particular message to them. You took the time to find them, and you want to make sure that they know explicitly why you chose them. Because you have a background in this, because you work here, because you're so-and-so's sister-in-law, whatever it is. But why did you choose them? There's got to be some kind of reference in that. Why you chose them. When you do this, when you do something that gives them an indication, they're starting to get a feel that this is a one-of-a-kind message, this will more than double your chance of getting a response. You leave this out, you have a lot less of a chance of them actually responding. How about this one? What do you want? Right? You need to be somewhat specific regarding what you want. Language is like, this is what I want. The reason I'm reaching out is I'm contacting you because I was hoping you could help me with. These kinds of things will tell them, okay, now he or she is going to get to the reason that they are contacting me. I know why they chose me. Now I need to know, what do you want? So that's number 3. And then number 4, you got to show them that you did your research and you did your homework. All right, incredibly important. This is what helps them understand and shows and helps you reflect on the fact that you are diligent. I was looking at and noticed and so on, right? And then it led me to you. Words that link the message between you and them to know them that I am sending you this one-of-a-kind message. I'm not sending this generic message to everybody hoping somebody gets back to me. I am sending you this one-of-a-kind message in the hope that you get back to me. Okay? So these 2 here, I want to show you this. I want to repeat this. The why you chose them and the fact that you did your homework and are connecting this for them, this is what personalizes the message. This is what gives it its uniqueness, and this is ultimately why they respond back. If you don't have these in your message, you have a very, very slim chance of somebody getting back to you. So 2 and 4 is what really, really personalizes it, gives them that power. All right, now what? You got to include what you offer, right? You got to include what you offer. Now, you might be thinking, well, Andy, I'm job searching, and I'm really the one that needs something. And I get that and that can be tricky, right? You might need referrals, you might need whatever. You might need the job. But immediately what comes to mind is there's about 4 things you can offer somebody, right? You can offer them a compliment. You can offer them your network. You might even be able to offer them or be the medium for an employee referral. Maybe you're contacting somebody who works at an organization that you want to work for. They have an employee referral program. You might be offering them a chance to get an employee referral. Okay, there's also, I mean, what about the boss hunting technique that a lot of you are familiar with? And again, if you're not, just go to my channel, type boss hunt. You're targeting a person or a manager or a management team or hiring official, whoever it is, And you can offer them your skills, right, to be on their team, to help their organization. That is something to offer. Those are 4 things right there that you can articulate. But you got to have something that you can offer. There's got to be some attempt made to show them that, All right, that was number 5. Now, number 6. Please and thank you work. Please and thank you work. You've got to show that you're grateful for whatever they can do. You're thankful for their time, you're thankful for their consideration, you're thankful for their referral, their effort, you're thankful that they read this, whatever it is, but you gotta show gratitude. There's gotta be a level of gratitude in the message. And now, this one, I cannot believe how many people actually miss this one. Number 7, what is the next step? What is the next step? The more explicit and the more myopic this is, the better it is. The more narrow the next step, the better, because it lets the person respond quickly. Okay, so I need your thoughts on, I need your referral to, I need to know if you work at this company, if you know someone in that organization that I can speak to. It has to be narrow. It has to be narrow. And I want to talk with you a little bit, and I want to kind of cap off this section of the talk with a sample. If you throw somebody in a big blue ocean, like, hey, I'm looking, do you know of anything? That is very hard for them to concentrate their brain, and there's a lot of things that they need to connect in order to figure out if there's anything that makes sense for you. So let me give you a great example, and we'll kind of talk about this one for a few minutes. There's this guy, his name's Brian. I would call him a friend. He is a longtime business colleague, and I've actually, in the 15 years that I've known him, I got him 2 jobs. One about 15 years ago, one about 7 years ago. So I would call him a friend. We network together. We have lunches, the occasional cocktail, that kind of stuff. A few months back, he sent me an email, as I would expect him to do, and he was emailing me about his son, who I think is about 25, first job out of college, been there a couple, 3 years, sends me an email, which I have absolutely no problem with, and I appreciate that he sent it. Said, hey, Andy, my son is working at this trading firm, a capital markets trading firm in the financial markets industry, and he's unhappy. Do you know of anything? That was pretty much the email. Now, what's going through my head is I don't know his son. I don't know what his son does. I don't know if his son is an analyst. I don't know if his son is a project manager. I don't know if his son is a trader, an actuary, a network engineer, or whatever. So I have no clue. And I also don't know why he's unhappy. I also don't know if he wants to stay in the capital markets space, get out, have a career change, or whatever. Now, it would take me 15 minutes to type up an email to ask him all this stuff, which I wasn't going to do. Now I got to wait till I have, say, 20 minutes in my calendar somewhere where I could actually call him and have a conversation and ask him these questions so he can get me to a spot where I can help him. It took me a month to get back to him. Turns out the kid likes the type of work that he's doing. He's a trader. He's analytical, right? Went to school for this kind of stuff. Doesn't like the capital markets culture. It's very cutthroat. So he wanted to basically get out of that industry and maybe move himself to something else that would allow him to do similar work for maybe a corporation. And what immediately came to mind as Brian's words are hanging out in the speech bubble are, what about companies like British Petroleum and Koch Industries, or maybe some of the investment firms or the insurance firms or whatever, where they have individuals inside that look at futures, prices, all this stuff, and they do that similar type of trading and contract setups and all that good stuff. So as we get to talk about this, now I've got a list of 3 or 4 companies that his kid was trying to target. I could immediately give him referrals to those companies of people that I knew. Some were in the areas that the kid wanted to go, and in other spots, they were just people that could get him to spots that he might want to go. But if his original email would have said, my son's in trading, he doesn't love trading firms, he would prefer to try to get into a corporation where he could have a similar type of position, do you know anyone at British Petroleum, Coke, blah, blah, blah. I could have immediately got back to him in my first read of the email. This is somebody I know well. This is somebody who could pick up the phone and call me at any time. It takes me 30 days to get back to him, when instead I could have gotten back to him the first time my eyes touched that email. Now, one of a couple things is going to happen when you get down to that myopic question. Some people are going to say, no, I don't. No, that's fine. Then what he could have done is he could have replied to me and said, okay, do you know anybody at these 3 companies or anybody in this industry or whatever, and given me another iteration, which I would have had no problem with. Now, me being me, what I would have done is, why I also know people at these companies, but he might want to consider these other companies, and I know people there. I could have sent him a message back and given him that. And then we could have went back and forth, and it could have happened very quickly. Now, so think about it. If you are reaching out to people, even if you know them, you have to give them some context. So these 7 points that I was talking about here, this is incredibly vital. Now, what are the uses of this type of content? So when I say, there are different types of networking messages that you need to have in your repertoire. There are obviously infinitely many, but I think there are 10 really popular ones. And I'm going to give you an idea of what I mean by networking messages. I'm actually going to show you a list here. If you bear with me, I should be able to pop this over. This is the list of the ones that I think you need to have. So this here is actually, these are job search networking templates that I've created for people who are in the boot camp. But for purposes of this discussion, you can at least see the kinds of things that I'm talking about. So, when I talked about the boss hunting, so the ones on the first couple of lines here, these are actually available to you right now, to anybody watching this. If you go and search for my boss hunting techniques, you could reach out to people who you think is the boss and contact them. So there's language, actually, sorry, let me. Okay, the general reach out to a stranger who's likely not the boss. The reach out to the stranger who's likely not the boss or person of authority. I've given a couple there. Those are actually private. But the boss hunting one, where you know a position exists, and instead of going through the applicant tracking system, you want to contact somebody. I've given language for that. These two here are actually out in the public domain. So this boss hunting one, whether a position exists, and a boss hunting where you're trying to reach out to somebody if you're not sure whether a position exists. I've actually written copy that you can grab. But think about some of these others. Hey, I know somebody who knows somebody at a company I'm trying to get to, or what do I say to somebody who actually works at a company I'm trying to get in, somebody who I know is well connected and I'm not really sure where they can take me. Do you know what to say to that person? Someone I know gave me the name of somebody at my target company. So sometimes people just give you names and they don't necessarily make the connection for you. Then what do you do? What about someone I know gave me the name of somebody I should connect with in general? Hey, I do that all the time. So people say, well, hey, I'm looking for something in the financial services arena. I say, hey, you need to go talk to Steve Brown. Okay, and I will make the connection. Now you got to go from there. Well, you need to know what to say. Following up. What about if you meet somebody at a training event or a seminar? These are just a handful of what I would consider to be the very, very base versions of the kinds of things that you need to be able to put into play. And so as you bring yourself to the market, there are definitely variations of the kind of things that you're going to need to communicate with people about. And not everybody is going to be, one step and done. And in the boss hunting technique that I actually have a public video on where you can learn that stuff, those individuals have great luck getting return replies when they're using that technique, but it isn't always that simple, right? Sometimes you're trying to get to somebody. Maybe you tried the boss hunting technique that was free and you couldn't get to the boss didn't reply. So if you start to put those triggers in, those 7 that I talked about, you're going to have way better luck.